All right. Hi, folks. Welcome back to the Money Wisdom Podcast, powered by Johnson Brunetti. As always, I'm Nick Colantuono, certified financial planner here in our Boston, Massachusetts offices, joined by my colleague, Jacob Dozer, also a certified financial planner down in our Connecticut offices. We've got a question from a viewer today. And Jake, it's really all about the psychology of money. You know, this question comes in, and I really think it's poignant for what's going on in the world today, what's going on in the market up, market down, things bouncing all over the place. And this question in particular is really, what should I be doing in a down market? You know, how do you navigate that? Personally, I love looking at my accounts. I love opening my Fidelity app and looking at it when I know the market's up and that it's going to make me feel good. And you know, I hate looking at it when I know it's a bad day and I'm going to open it and see just a whole bunch of red. So that's my approach, joking aside. But what do you recommend? What are you telling clients in a time like this, Jake?
You know, the market is volatile. Over a long period of time, it's always grown. I don't know if it'll always do that, but it's kind of the only assumption we have to make. And so to that end, stay the course is really, you know, that's what anyone hears, whether you turn on the news or you come in to see me and you hear stay the course. Now, what that really means is don't emotionally overreact.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what we have to emphasize to our clients is you don't need to make a decision based in fear. I don't know that there's any decisions in life, whether it be about your money or anything else, that when you make them predicated upon a fear response, you're going to make a wise choice. Like you wouldn't do that in any area of life. Don't do it with your money. Now,
it's natural. How do you avoid that?
I mean, so one of the things I have to remind myself often, this is true in my life, it's true in the lives of my clients, is you have a plan. Now, there's an assumption that you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, reaction in a measured way may be the right choice. Hey, so here's an example. Here's what we see, and you see this all the time, Nick, just like I do. I see somebody come in, and almost always they're taking way more risk than they should. And they've been rewarded for that over a long period of time because the market's done really, really well. And then they wake up one day and realize, oh man, I'm like a year away from retirement. Maybe I'm taking too much risk. And then that's kind of the end of the thought. What do I do now? You know, and they recognize that there's a tension between I want my money to grow and also I don't want to lose too much. So where do I find that tension? Well, that's where the planning comes in. So we can align the amount of risk they're taking with the way they're going to use their money. But a lot of times we just align the amount of risk we're taking based on how we feel about it in general and think about money as a long-term thing. And I mean, I get it. You know, like what do our clients work? 30, 40 years? And they're told just put it in, let it ride. And then you hit this bumper. It's like, oh man, now I'm told to use it. And you might be feeling like, oh man, I've been a great saver. I don't know how I'm going to do with spending because I've been told never to touch this. And now you're telling me to touch it every month. That's a crazy thing. I mean, how have you found, do you find that people struggle with that transition?
Well, look, I think it all comes down to expectations. You know, as you mentioned, having a plan is critical in all of it because we know over the long run, having your money in the market is going to give you the most reward. It's going to give you the most long-term return. But what that also requires is a long-term approach. And, you know, I've been finding myself a lot using this phrase and just telling folks, look, don't let short-term market volatility impact long-term financial planning decisions. And, you know, that's where I think, again, it all comes down to expectations. You know, you don't put money into a, you know, certain company, you know, hoping that it's going to double in value over the next 6 weeks if it's 100% of your money, right? That's rolling the dice. That's not having a plan. But when you know that the expectation is, okay, I'm going to take this chunk of money, I'm going to put it here, and I'm not touching it for 10 or 15 years. And that's why, you know, you mentioned the clients we're working with going through this transition of working and earning and saving to all of a sudden retirement, and the game changes, but so too does the time. You know, when you're 30 and 40 and you know you're just putting money in those retirement accounts and you're not touching it for 20, 25 years, well, okay, you're a little more comfortable with the risk that lives there, with the fact that those accounts go up and down every day, because you're telling yourself in the back of your mind, well, those accounts should be going up and down every day because 20 years from now, it's going to have done a lot more going up than it would have going down. So the oldest saying in the book is, you don't have all your eggs in one basket. And so when it comes to what to do in a down market, well, hopefully not all your money is exposed to that down market. So, this all comes with having a plan. And I think this is probably a good a time as any to mention to folks, our financial planning philosophy as a firm is you want different buckets of money doing different things, because the time in which you have to be accessing this money that you've worked so hard to save is not all of a sudden you snap your fingers and now you need every single penny that you have, right? So that's where having a plan comes into play. And there's no better resource for us to be offering folks than our money map. It's just a very easy, understandable book. I really call it a guide into the way that we're managing money for clients as a firm. And it's not just managing money, it's managing expectations, managing risk and reward and time and taxes and all these things that you need to be focused on. So folks, if that sounds like something you'd like to get your hands on, text us. Text the word MAP, MAP, to 800-757-0436. And our team will actually get you a copy of our book, The Money Map. It just shines some light on our financial planning philosophy as a firm. It really talks about some of the strategies that we're using, helping folks who are in your exact phase of life. So again, if you would like that offer, if you would like the Money Map book, please text the word MAP, M-A-P, to 800-757-0436. Jake, what else should we be thinking about when it comes to really down markets and how to navigate them?
I mean, I think we hit the nail on the head. Stay the course, have a plan, have buckets so that not all your money is doing the same thing at the same time. We call that uncorrelation, meaning not all your investments are growing and shrinking at the same time. And I think the biggest thing is just know is that your emotions are going to take over when the market's down 10, 20%. And you have to have like a steady hand to guide yourself, whether it be something you can handle or you need a voice of reason to guide you through those circumstances. That's what we do. And I think the value of an advisor is not in the rates of return they get, because you can go and try to get a longer term rate of return yourself. It's having the experience to say, well, this is what's going on and this is how you balance yourself appropriately, and make sure that you have objective reason and expertise that has gone through this before to guide you. Because when you sell out of the market because you're freaking out, you got to be right twice: when to get out and when to get back in. And I don't know many people get that right. I don't know about you.
Absolutely right, Jake. Timing the market never works. And speaking of timing, it looks like that's all the time we have today. So folks, again, viewers, listeners, thank you so much for joining us. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe share it with someone else who could use this valuable advice in uncertain times. So again, for Jake, for myself, for the whole team here at Johnson Brunetti, we thank you as always for joining us on our Money Wisdom podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Johnson Brunetti is a marketing name for the businesses of JB Capital and JN Financial. Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital LLC. Insurance products offered through JN Financial LLC.